Hello, boys and girls. This is your old friend RJ City, as you may have surmised, in this familiar location. It's slightly earlier. I'm not doing coffee and underwear right now. I'm doing something else, and I feel like we should get to it. I was asked unceremoniously by Christina Marie. She said, I feel like RJ City should do an AMA video. I've got so many questions, to which I replied, all right, fuck it. Use hashtag AskRJ, and I'll do a video answering whatever mediocre bullshit you come up with. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm asking your questions honestly and candidly. It's a new side of me. It's a serious, emotional side of me. I've never shown my emotions before. Anyway, So I'm going through the hashtag bottom to top. If you asked a question and didn't use the hashtag, I'm not going to fucking answer it because, those are the rules. I should not have to explain that shit to you. I thought this would be a good time to have my coffee, even though I'm not going to be sipping. I'm going to be talking the whole time. I'm just going to be holding it and about to sip, and then I'll say something else. Let's get to the questions. Waylon says, ask RJ. Obviously, I don't need to say that anymore. Waylon says, has AEW contacted you about a possible appearance? No, they haven't. And if they want to, I'm welcome to hear it. Only if it's an appearance. I don't want to do a long-term contract. I just want to show up and wave my hat like Cal Ripken. Chad B says, if you could be reincarnated into an 80s sitcom star, who would it be and why? Probably Jeff Conaway from Taxi, because he was a hot piece of ass. Or also Mary Lou Henner. Also on Taxi. Taxi and Wings have the two hottest ensemble casts. Cheers is third. But to me, that was peak Conaway for me, and it was very, very exciting. That's my opinion says, why is David Arquette jealous of you? He's not. I have never known him to be a jealous person. I'm a jealous person because he gets so much undeserved success. He's a joyful person. He has good intentions. He just has an incredibly inept way about him. Dave Muscarella says, why can't a single goddamn indie wrestling show start on time? It's a great question. Why do you keep going to them if they don't start on time? I've been to indie shows, the best case scenario, an indie show will start 15 minutes late. That's incredibly on time. The best is when they're there's a pre-show meeting and they'll be guys, we have to stick to our times because we only have the ambulance until 10, or we only have this Legion booked until whatever, and then we got to tear down, and if we go over, we have to pay some more, and then they'll start 30 minutes late for no fucking reason. The other thing is, they always wait. What the real problem is they wait for the draw. They wait for people to come in. A lot of times, the less people are there, the later the show will start because the booker's peaking, going, maybe everyone is late. Maybe there's 250 people who are just late all at the same time. It's wrong, and it should change. Serious question, says Melissa V. What is your skincare routine? Because you have amazing skin. Tell us. Well, I would say that the most important thing is to understand what kind of skin you have. Everything will work for someone, but not for everyone, right? So I have oily skin, and sometimes it sheds skin too much. I get dry skin, but it's not dry. I guess it's like a dermatitis. This is very candid. So what happens is the oil, the sebum, produces so much that it actually clogs the pores and creates redness or whatever. So first of all, oily skin, it's very important what you put in your body, the food you eat. I do not try to stay away from oily foods like red meat, fish, nuts. I'm on an Ayurvedic diet. If you want to look that up, that's totally up to you. That's another video for another day completely. But other than that, I wash very well. I've been really rubbing the soap in for a while, 30 seconds. I want it to do its job. I exfoliate, obviously. Hydration is obscenely important. I use aloe vera. I have aloe vera gel. You can buy it at CVS or whatever. And I put it on my skin. I put it on my scalp. I put a couple drops of peppermint in there, and it's very cooling. It's a disinfectant, it's an astringent, and it's a moisturizer. It's good for, burns and stuff. So for me, someone who gets very hot and can get inflamed as a human being, the aloe vera is very good. I stopped drinking a while ago because I realized it was bad for my skin. Like, I would have a glass of wine or vodka or some, not that I really drank, then I would wake up and my skin would be messed up. And I'm like, this is not worth it. This is not worth it at all. Because if you're drinking to sleep with people get drunk and they lose their inhibitions and they go, this guy's attractive. You would need to drink more to find me attractive. I don't want people to have to get drunk to find me attractive. I don't want to get drunk to find people attractive or to be social or whatever. This has nothing to do with skincare. Anyway, aloe vera. Andrew King said, why is David Arquette doing WWE Backstage without you? So David was on the WWE talk show on Tuesday night, I guess. And I saw the tweet, and then I was like, hey, you're doing this? And he had no idea that he was doing the promo segment. So he's like, oh, man, I don't know who it's going to be against or whatever. So I did feed him a couple lines because I'm a good person. So you know the saying, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain? Pay attention to me. I'm the real talent behind this machine. There's a reason that this train is moving, and it's not the conductor. N. Redhausen says, what is the best coffee to drink in your underwear? So some of the best coffee I've ever had was perhaps the first time I made a pour over on the show. It totally blew me away. Now I'm at this stage where I can only drink coffee in my underwear because I get so hot sometimes in the morning because it's the winter, so the heat is on, so it's kind of hot in the house. And I don't like to sweat too much. So I like to be in my underwear or a New York Dolls tank top. Wild Bill Wildy says, would you wrestle under the moniker of Bang Bang Skeetle? No, there's only two names I will wrestle under other than RJ City. One is Fuck Shipman and the other is Lukewarm. Lola says, if you recasted Golden Girls but with fellow wrestling friends, who would you choose? Well, one, I would not be choosing Xavier Woods because he's a scumbag and he's been Betty whitewashed into believing all this propaganda about her, number one. Number two, if I did have to pick, I think this is actually really easy. So it would be me, Dalton Castle, Matt Taven, Colin Delaney. That's four of us. And Bobby Fish can come in and out as Sophia's sisters. Who would they be? I don't know. I'm B. Arthur. I'm Dorothy. I figured that out. Maybe Matt Taven is Blanche. Dalton Castle is Rose. And then Colin Delaney would be Sophia. And then Bobby Fish would be Sophia. Yeah, that works. Surfer Dude says, will you ever tag team with Danhausen? And what would your team name be? Hoivenhausen and Senhua. It would be a very Jerry Lewis team name, and we would get everyone to chant it. Will I team with him? Yeah, sure. I've wrestled him twice, and we should just team. Morgan says, what is your favorite rest hold and why? I'm a big chin lock guy, because sometimes, your chin can get loose, and I like to just lock it into place and say, are you okay? Is everything fine? See, this is comfortable. People sit like this all the time. That's my most enjoyable rest hold. A real Sam said, RJ City, you seemingly and fairly effectively aspire to be a one-man cultural renaissance to enlighten the whole world in these dark times. Why do you go about this feat primarily by partaking in the carnival arts? That's an interesting question. And now I'm thinking about it. I will say, academia is fun. I enjoy it. I love it. But I feel like, A, it only hits a certain amount of people that kind of stay at that level, and it doesn't really move the popular culture forward, number one. So number two, in effect of that, I would rather go to something like the carnival arts where it's raw and basic. You get to go to an indie show and do your shit. It's just you and a microphone, minimal interference. I think that's the best way to get people. And I enjoy rocking the boat and moving things forward. I don't want to go where stuff like that is fully accepted. I kind of enjoy being the odd man out to experiment with how these things work in a different setting. So what happens if we bring perhaps intelligent, slightly nuanced promos to like mainstream indie wrestling? Let's just see what happens. Mainstream indie wrestling, like the mainstream exists. Never mind. It was an excellent question, young man. I hope I answered. I don't know. Wrestling Jerome, catchy name, says, so, I saw you were in the movie Monster Brawl. Fun movie, by the way. Yeah, if you enjoy overdosing on prescription medication. How was it like to play the werewolf and the mummy? So it was a movie I did 8 or 9 years ago. And the plot is classic movie Monsters Wrestling. And I played the werewolf. And I played the mummy. And the werewolf, I had mole hair. All that hair was real hair from a mole. Not from someone's mole, the animal. It was incredibly itchy. And it took a few days to get it all off. So I was shooting back to back. And there would be days where I would just say, fuck it, I'm going to sleep in it. And I did. And that was great. The mummy was, I think, only 2 days. And it was really messed up because... By the way, the special effects costume guys, their name is the Gore Brothers, and they were wonderful. In this mummy outfit, there wasn't really a hole for me to pee, so it would take a while to get off. So the deal was I really couldn't drink that much because I didn't want to pee, because if I had to pee, it would be like a whole thing. That sucked. Number 2, the contacts were totally blackout eye contacts, so they had to cover like more than what you see of my eye. That's how big the contact was. So we had to get 2 people to pry my eyes open and then someone else to stick them in. Once they were in, they were fine. Whatever. I liked them. And I kept them for Halloween, though I never used them because I wanted to hook up with people. And then it was a full face prosthetic that was glued. So all of that old man mummy shit was all glued to my face. And at night, a couple times I almost freaked out while we were filming because it just, whatever, it got too much. But at night, I will never forget, and I felt like I was tripping out. I took it all off, and I was lying in bed, and I still felt like I was wearing the mask. And I had to keep touching my face so the sensation will go away. Fun movie, though. Dave Foley's great. Tamea, who does a wonderful Scholar and Elbow website. Go look at Scholar and Elbow. Go look. It's speaking of academic wrestling business. She said, Grease 2 is better than Grease. Thoughts? Well, I'll tell you this. The reason... look, Grease 2 has some major fucking problems. Grease 1 has some major problems. Grease, the first one, Grease 1, overall has a way better cast. And I'm not just talking about the main crew. I'm talking about, Sid Caesar, Frankie Avalon, Bowser. So those ones are great. Grease 2, the thing I like about Grease 2, and the reason the better job it did in one area was that it had a better role for Dee Dee Khan. I felt she was underutilized in the first one as Frenchie, and she was much better in this. I was just miscast. The Australian guy, Michelle Pfeiffer, a better cast that was more on their way up, might have been a different story. I have it on VHS. VSW says, if you could only watch one movie for the rest of your life, which one would it be and why? So, 2 movies are popping into my head, and they are the 2 I will go with. One, The Three Amigos. The movie continually gets funnier and funnier the more I watch it, to the point where I'm now laughing through the whole movie and still discovering lines that didn't make any sense to me as a kid. Like this woman says to Chevy Chase, we can take a walk and you can kiss me on the veranda. And Chevy Chase says, your lips would be fine. It took me so long to get that. I now enjoy every character. Like, every moment is funny now. So it's one I never tire of. The other one, which I don't watch a lot, and maybe this isn't the one, maybe this isn't a good pick because it's so depressing, is The King of Comedy, starring Robert De Niro, Jerry Lewis, Sandra Bernhard. If you're not familiar with it, the new Joker movie is basically an homage to The King of Comedy. That's how unsettling it is. Scorsese directed it. It's unsung. It's underrated. It's so disturbing. It's still a comedy. I would call it a comedy, but it will not leave you feeling good. Enjoy. Chuck, Taylor's dead birthday horse, says, but he has a better at. His at is Jury Prosciutto. Prosciutto, whatever. We all know that you love the entertainers of yesteryear. Are there any modern ones that you are a fan of? Any medium? Oh, well, there's like a lot of comedians. Like John Mulaney, Nick Kroll, Sarah Silverman, Tim Robinson, the guy who did I Think You Should Leave Now. All that shit was very funny. Who do I listen to? I don't listen to new music, but I go like that. That Bruno Mars looks like he plays good music. I don't listen to it, but I can appreciate. You know what I mean? Art-wise, I love Wayne White. He's a wonderful artist. A guy named Lurk that David Arquette hooked me up with. Another guy who I'm obsessed with, but he's kind of a throwback too. He's a magician named Rob Zabrecki. Zabrecky, maybe? Look it up. He does these seances on YouTube, and he's a fantastic magician. So and wrestling-wise, I like Psycho Mike. Oh God, I just spilled a little. I'm sorry. I'm getting loaded. Grappling Graboid says, M&M's or Smarties. So if you are American, you think Smarties are those twisty, chalky things. They're not. Smarties are a thing that are in Canada and England, and they're like a sister to the M&M. I will say I enjoy them. They have a very distinct taste. I like putting them in ice cream. M&M's just have so many more different flavors, which is a real Americanization of what the M&M is. I love the mint M&M. I also loved, there was like a raspberry M&M. That was delightful too. So if I'm going for variety, I'm going for M&M. T, Cody, Kai, whatever. Casey Housen. Everybody's got the fucked up Housen names. Boxers or briefs. If you've been watching me make coffee in my underwear, you will note that I never wear boxers. Ever, ever, ever. And even when I'm wearing briefs, I often complain about how long they are. The reason for that is because I like to know where everything is at all times. I do not wear boxers. My balls don't hang that much, and I don't want them to. Maybe, at 65, they'll drop a bit, and I'll switch to the boxers. But until then, Chofer says, what's your favorite song off the A Goofy Movie soundtrack? I'll tell you something. I didn't even like the Goofy movie when I was a kid. I didn't find any of those kids, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, any of it. I'm sorry, young man, but I think this is going to cause great tension when I come on your podcast. Jeff said, what actor played the role of James Bond the best? Sean Connery, probably. The best in the sense that it was also very problematic, which I think James Bond is. It's better now, but you're like, oh yeah, he's like that asshole guy. Video game-wise, I'm going with Pierce. Pierce had way better video games. I'm talking about GoldenEye. What's the other one? I played some weird Equinox one where he's in space. That's an ad. Justin, dear at CJ Felony, says, my grandmother used to make Cheese Whiz and strawberry jam sandwiches. This isn't a question, just something weird my grandmother liked. Well, fuck you, Justin, for not playing the game. Number one. Number two, I was just talking about, does anyone remember Fluffernutter? Or Fluff? The Fluff in general, it was like peanut butter, but made out of marshmallow. And you could just have that as a sandwich, or you mix it with Nutella, Fluffernutter. Just throw it. Not a question either, Justin. Matt, at Matt Mardigan says, will you come to C4 in Ottawa so I can harass you in person? Will they book me? I'm not just going to show up at shows to hang out with people. It's not how this works. I don't want to go to wrestling shows. If you want to book me to have lunch, I'll come have lunch, but I'm not going to a wrestling show unless I'm booked. Marcus Mann says, tell us your favorite Keith Hott story. Keith Hott is an adorable wrestler out of the Pittsburgh area, wrestles for IWC a lot. Go look him up at Hott Jr., Haught. He's just an adorable ball of love. And I don't have a favorite memory, but I have a favorite mental image that isn't real. Because I said if you ever stab him, just a bunch of gummy bears would fall out. He would bleed gummy bears. And that's the best visual I know to encapsulate what Keith Hott means to me. It's Paul Henry asks, what would you say is Don Knotts' best work? I liked when he took a little more, he was great in Pleasantville, in all seriousness. I mean, that's not what that's not the Don Knottsiest of his work, but he was great in Pleasantville. So if I had to say pure acting and impact, I'm going with that one. For me, love the Apple Dumpling Gang. I also really liked The Reluctant Astronaut. There was a fucking 20 movies where he played a nervous guy in different jobs. The reason I like that is because the straight man in the movie is a black-haired Leslie Nielsen. That's how old the movie is. Dear Mr. RJ City says, House Key Wrestling. How can we get Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling to book you on their podcast? Well, I think I'm going to do it in the new year at some point. I think I'm going to go there and look them in the eye while I talk to them. So, hang tight. Damian Blewett says, we made eye contact at a Super Kick show in Toronto in the summer of 2017. You were tagged with Psycho Mike. The air was thick, that's for sure. And the question is, do you remember the moment? No. No, I don't. I look a lot of people in the eye, and the reason I do is because I think to myself, what are you doing here? Do you have nothing better to do? So I guess I do remember that moment as one of the many moments I have questioning my life and yours. Hope it was memorable for you, though, obviously. At Paul D. Heenan says, is cereal soup? Why or why not? Okay, first of all, he has another question, too, but no, it's not soup. Cereal is cereal. You don't put milk in soup, just as soup. Like, milk would perhaps be a base if you're going for some cream. I think the milk is taking it out. If there's no broth, you can't call it a broth. It's milk, so it's not soup. Also, as someone famed for his strikingly good looks, what do you find the most and least attractive names in the English language? Thank you, RJ. I enjoy having people on my roster of friends who I just don't have otherwise. I don't think I'm friends with a Doug yet. And I really want to meet a Babette, and I would love to date a Babette because I would love to call her Babs. So, that's me. At Lip Scream Mask says, what are things that you dislike? Take your fucking pick. At Name is Chris, though. Excuse me. We've been going for longer than 20 minutes. That's when the phlegm starts again. If you had to have another sitcom-themed finisher aside from Knee Arthur, what would it be? That's a great... Oh, I did take a sip of coffee. Isn't that nice? That's a great question. Maybe something to do with Rhea Perlman. Maybe something to do with Carla there. I think she would be good. And maybe I don't like Alan Alda at all. Maybe a John Ritter or a Don Knotts. I'm feeling Don Knotts a lot. I think he's someone I should pay tribute to. What the move is, I don't fucking know. Mike T, 298, asks, if you could have a role in any musical, which one would it be? Personally, I would pick Mr. Mistopheles. Thank you. I've already made it clear. Look, I could Rum Tum Tugger all day. I'll tell you that right now. But for me, there's only one true role, and it is the dentist, Dr. Oren Scrivello, DDS, in Little Shop of Horrors. I gotta do it before I die. Stuart Love says, what's your favorite mustard? Now, here's the thing. I'm not crazy about, I'm not a mustard guy. So the criteria for me is what is my favorite mustard to say. They have a lot of good things because ketchup is just fucking ketchup. But mustard is Dijon, Grey Poupon, and then they have Spicy Brown. If I could say spicy brown like spicy brown, then I would go with spicy brown. At James is a nerd says, who is your favorite sweat hog? Well, we're going with Horshack. I tell you, if John Travolta's career didn't take off with Saturday Night Fever, I don't think we'd be talking about him today as a sweat hog. I think it would be Horshack all the way, and Horshack would be in Greece. At Space Cat Prime says, fuck Mary, one passed away, and the remaining one is your mom. Sorry, this isn't, whatever. Fuck Mary, one passed away, and the remaining one is your mom for the Golden Girls. Okay. Well, I guess I'm fucking Blanche because she's down for it. I'm marrying Dorothy because she's the love of my life. One passed away, should be Rose because she's a scumbag, and she's the only one left alive, so I want the reverse. And the remaining one is your mom, which would be Estelle, would be Sophia, who's already my mother in a lot of ways. At Nick Roberts says, all right, push or pull. It depends how much lubrication you have. An Autumn Wrestling account says, are you exposing the business? I'm just kind of pointing it out. It's just lying. It's like a naked guy lying in the open. But no one has said anything about it yet. But he's there. He's lying in the middle of the street. He's totally naked like this. And I'm the person who walks by and goes, you know there's a naked guy in the middle of the street. That's what I'm doing. I think I'm illuminating what's already there. Green Bastard says, please explain why Tim Hortons coffee is shit. First of all, the uniforms are disgusting. They disgust me incredibly. It's all different shades of brown and beige, and it's gross. Even as someone who has basically beige tights. Secondly, it's so hot. It's so hot for so long. They just like light the fucking brown water on fire, and it's too watery. It doesn't make me feel good, and the cups are bad. I mean, all the cups are bad for the environment, Starbucks and Tim Hortons too. But I don't like them. I don't like holding them. They make me feel gross. There's no status involved with the Tim Hortons coffee cup. Rob Whitley says, hey, any way possible to do a Golden Girls theme song duet? LOL. Yeah, it is. I mean, not with you now. I will say on my Twitter, I tweeted Xavier Woods half of me singing the Golden Girls song, and he never finished the song. So go bother him and like, what's his deal? Len Tizard says, Chris Jericho claims to be the man of 1,007 holds. However, 243 of them are an armbar or a variant of said armbar. Fair enough. Begging the question, how many armbars are there, and do you know how to apply them all? No, because like I don't wrestle. I'm just entertaining. And I had a web series on CBC that did better than his. That's right. This is my shoot interview. Soulhausen at Mr. Wrestle says, isn't coffee just bean soup? No, it's just, there's no. Because those beans aren't in it. Do you know what I'm saying? That the same way like bone broth doesn't, it's broth from a bone. It's broth. I would call it bean broth. You've won. At Awesome, I can't say these names. Sean Stewart says, is the term boomer offensive? No. No, not at all. People have been using it inoffensively. It's now being used in a derogatory way, which is kind of enjoyable, only as retaliation for people who are saying bad things, but ultimately I don't think so. Says, what's your favorite letter in the alphabet, and why is it your favorite letter? W is a fucking trip. It really, really is. Break it down. I mean, double U. It's crazy, and it's not even how it looks. It's like this. It's really double V, which in some countries I think they say it's just a trip. It's hanging on at the end, and it's that. Wait, I feel like I want to watch a kid's brain fire when they first learn the alphabet. And they're like, W. Where did that come from? We were on a roll here. QRSTUV. We're like, boom, boom, boom. W is this punch in the face. And then you got to recover to get to XYZ. Again says, RJ, why am I your favorite Twitter person account? Well, now you're not. Why don't you follow me? Well, now I won't. Why don't you love me? Well, because I have my own emotional issues that I'm dealing with. Damn it, I need to know. Well, now you do. At Who Farted 12 says, who farted? Exactly. Who farted? Griff said, chunky or smooth? Depends what you're referring to. Peanut butter, I don't like, because if you refer back to my skincare callback question, it's too oily for my skin. Lord Garth of Izar says, who's in the Power Bottom Hall of Fame? Effie. And you can tweet him and ask him, and he'll explain why. At Stevie Chew says, why are you such a cutie, though? Because hydrate myself. That's it. I've made peace with the despair in my life. Tyler Mann, at Tyler Mann Art says, how do you feel about furries? I think they're great. I respect anyone with like a hard-ass fetish of like, this is what I'm into, this is my shit. Because I get jealous of them. Because you have to have, sex is a whole complicated thing. You're attracted to this person. What do we do with this? What are you doing for me? What am I doing for you? I just wish I had an attraction to something simple and insane like baseball hats. That way I could go to a baseball game and just enjoy myself, and that's it. I don't need anyone, nothing. So these furry people, they do the conventions, is great, because I think everyone has something that's kind of fucked up that they're into, but very few people get to indulge. So to be able, for these people to have a convention about it is outstanding. My hat's off to them. I mean, it's not my bag, don't get me wrong, I find it terrifying, but I totally respect their wants and needs. At MN Sports Chick 19, these are great names. Fuck, kill, marry, Randy Macho Man Savage, Ultimate Warrior, or Bret the Hitman Hart. You know what? I'm gonna kill the Ultimate Warrior. Just because I'm not having sex with him and I'm not marrying him. I'm gonna fuck Bret. We've been out to dinner a couple times. He's a wonderful date. I'm gonna marry Randy Savage, because then you have access to his wardrobe. So many times I have a girlfriend or something, I end up wearing their shirts. So to be able to wear Randy's jackets is a hoot. Cozy Love, Kozik, dear Lord, Christy Housen Rules Ass says, what are my chances of getting a hug on Saturday, good sir? Saturday, I'm at ESW in Buffalo. I will say, and the problem I have is I only see people in like this really small Twitter profile picture, and then I see them in person, and I have no idea who the fuck they are. Please remind me of your name and this tweet, and then I will remember. You have to look exactly like your Twitter profile picture, or else I have no idea who you are, because this is the way we're interacting now. But yes, otherwise, yes. Christine Marie, the woman who started it all, said, what would you say, taking away things we already know, like wrestling, stand-up, acting, is your passion? Well, you already know this, but I love, antiques. When I say antiques, I don't really mean antiques. I mean, because they're not old enough to be antiques. They're from, the 70s. They're not that old. Horribly pop culture things. I'm very interested in researching the punk movement. The early stuff. Not the punk you know now. Stuff before that. Kind of like the New York Dolls. That stuff is interesting to me. The Andy Warhol art scene. I'm not in love with it. I enjoy research. I'm like, what was the deal here? Why did all of this get so popular? That stuff is very interesting to me. Christine Marie also asked, because this is her idea and she can, who's your favorite person to work with, wrestling or otherwise, and why? I very much enjoy, I've had decent moments with David. I wouldn't say we've worked together. He's mainly tormented me in public. I enjoy working with my dear friend Nug, who's often on my Twitter. We often do comedy shows together. I had a nice comedy show with Dalton Castle. That was a lot of fun. We enjoyed working together. And Jason Agnew, who hosts Splat a lot, and we do comedy shows together. And it's a weird thing to be working with him in so many different ways. It's very weird. Very bizarre. At Brandon WWEJK said, Danhausen or Warhorse, which is the better opponent? Well, I've never had the pleasure of wrestling Warhorse. Hopefully that'll change sometime soon. So I gotta go with Danhausen. No offense to Warhorse. Rule your own ass, my friend. At Yan Bourdreau says, what other sport do you like doing other than wrestling? Man, I fucking don't. Wrestling is not a sport, first of all. I have played hockey, as every good child. And I've also played baseball and soccer. I think baseball I was the best at. Anything that is a fucking thing, anything you need equipment for, like, I'm out. I'm not interested at all. Maybe something with a ball. Not football. Football is for maniacs. Dear Lord. Billiards. At Texas High Flyer says, how are you? I'm fine, and thank you for asking. Andrew Giamarco says, what's your favorite episode of Three's Company? I love the introduction episode of Don Knotts. It had a lot of moving parts. It's a hard thing to land because the ropers were so important, but once Don hit, he hit hard, and if it wasn't for him, that show would have been dead seasons before that. So, to me, that's an important episode. The pilot episode is pretty good, too. There's a lot of tensions of, are you gay? Are we together? Do you want to sleep with both of us? That's when that's the highest, and that's probably when the show is at its best. At Manthello says, are you single? And what do you look for in a significant other? And do you have a gender preference in a significant other? Also, what do you wear under your wrestling outfits? Yes, I'm currently unattached. What do I look for in a significant other? I do not have a type. I really don't. So it can come from anywhere. Intelligence, cleanliness, and the ability to converse are at the top of my list, no matter what. Do I have a gender preference? I'm probably gonna say women, females. Although I will say anyone who enjoys going antiquing with me is fine in my book. Also, what do you wear under your wrestling outfits? I got a Calvin Klein thong that is too flimsy for me, and I need to get a new one. Sonny Kiss was telling me I need to get a better grade one, and he knows. So I'm going to trust his advice. Evangeline says, what would you say to your younger self? Quit now. Change paths. You can become anything you want. So, become a doctor. Don't follow your dreams because you're stupid. So your dreams are stupid. Learn and then decide. Good luck with everything. Stop masturbating. At CJXI1991 says, who are your top 3 actors under 50? Jake Gyllenhaal is pretty good. He is very good in a lot of different things. I gotta pick 3? Dear Lord. Is he 50? How old is he? I don't even know. I'm sticking with him. All the movies I'm thinking of that I like have him in it. Oh, God, what's her name? Britt Marling was delightful. She was in Another Earth and The Sound of My Voice, all movies that y'all probably haven't seen and is fine. Who else? Dear Lord. Look, that's it right now. I gotta look at a list. That's a lot to ask of someone. I'll think of someone eventually. Mitchell Duncan says, how much satisfaction do you get from being able to go between professional wrestling and entertainment and knowing how to mold them together when you were on stage? To me, the trick is that they're the same thing. To me, it's really not that different. I mean, obviously, the ultimate tangible differences are clear, but the shit I'm doing is the same shit I am doing, and it will never deter me. I am as stupid in whatever you see me in. Brendan, WWE JK, said, so if RJ City and Danhausen formed a team, what would it be called? Didn't we do this already? Didn't we say Hoivenhausen? I think that was the name of the team. Trixie says, Din next? What? Laura Jana. Okay, this is another language, but this is not... Okay, these people have misappropriated my hashtag. Chris says, and this is the last question. Oh my God, we've come so far. Says, hey, RJ, are you single? Because... And then there's this gray smiley face, a devil, and a vibrating heart. Dear Lord, Lord knows what sexual position that is. As I've stated, I'm single. I'm working on myself right now. I'm taking time. I'm going out. I'm socializing. I'm disappointing a lot of people when I socialize with them because they're like, oh, this guy has a lot of problems. But yet, I'm enjoying myself. I'm okay. I'm okay for now. Under 50. I still got to think of another actor under 50. Dear Lord, I can't think of anyone. Eli Wallach, actually. I think he's 34. There's my pick. Well, that was the last question. I'm single. I use aloe vera. I like Eli Wallach. I hope you've all taken your notes. Thank you. This has been over 40 minutes. I don't know why anyone asked for this or why anyone will watch this. But God bless you and God bless us all. If you have any more questions for me, fucking keep them to yourself until I'm ready to do this shit again. I will ask you. In the meantime, so long.
Guests of the RJ City Show, subscribe to his channel, follow him on social media, and buy his t-shirts at prowrestlingtees.com/RJ City.